David, I think we are at the brink of a life-changing moment, and I couldn't be happier right now. I love you so much, and I absolutely cannot wait for the next 15 minutes to pass.
Lakshmi, I thought I'd be nervous, but I'm so excited. I can't wait to see you in all of your glory and wonder, and your beautiful dress that I have yet to see. Just can't wait to see you. I love you.
And if you're not getting married today, please have a seat. Do you two want to stand a bit closer together? Well, good morning, everybody, and a very, very warm welcome to you here today at the Fitzrovia Chapel in the city of Westminster. My name is Lucy Dutton, and I'm one of the registrars for the City of Westminster, and I have the very, very great pleasure of conducting this ceremony today. And with me is my friend and colleague, Naomi Rosales, and Naomi is making the legal and digital record of this ceremony. And between us, we will make sure that this lovely couple are legally and properly married. So just to make sure that we've complied with the legalities, I know that everybody knows who you are, but could you just tell us all your full legal names, please? So David?
David Michael Wildman.
And Lakshmi?
Lakshmi, Haridas.
Thank you very much. On behalf of David and Lakshmi, I would like to welcome you all here today to share with them in this wedding ceremony. Through their vows, they are making a commitment to each other. And through your presence here, you are all expressing your support for them. However, I must ask that if any person here present knows of any lawful impediment to this marriage, then he or she should declare it now. And that is a very nice silence. Marriage is a desire by two people to share themselves and their experiences with each other, and a willingness to accept each other for who they are. Marriage means making a commitment to developing cooperation, friendship, and mutual respect. It calls for honesty, patience, and of course a sense of humour. Marriage is where each partner cares for the other and supports them in all that they do. It demands courage, the courage to be open, the courage to grow and change, and the courage to sort out together the tasks of everyday living. Marriage requires closeness and distance. Closeness for a couple growing together, and enough distance to allow each partner to be an individual. You two are going to make me laugh in a minute. A good partner in such a marriage will be loving, caring, and above all, a best friend. It is in this spirit that David and Lakshmi are now before us. In each other's company, they have found happiness, fulfillment, and love. And they now wish to affirm their relationship with this marriage. Now, before we move on to the legal part of the ceremony, I would like to invite Martine to come and read for us. So, Martine, if you would just like to come up to the front and stand wherever you like, wherever feels comfortable.
Love is a temporary madness. It erupts like volcanoes and then subsides. And when it subsides, you have to make a decision. You have to work out whether your roots have so entwined together that it is inconceivable that you should ever part. Because this is what love is. Love is not breathlessness. It is not excitement. It is not the promulgation of promises of eternal passion. That is just being in love, which any fool can do. Love itself is what is left over when being in love has burned away, and this is both an art and a fortunate accident. Those that truly love have roots that grow towards each other underground. And when all the pretty blossoms have fallen from their branches, they find that what they are is one tree and not two.
Thank you so much, Martine. That was lovely. David and Lakshmi, today you will exchange vows which will unite you as husband and wife. The words that you're going to say are a formal and public pledge of your love and a promise of lifelong dedication to each other. Before you're joined in matrimony, it is my duty to remind you of the solemn and binding character of the vows you're about to make. Marriage in this country means the union of two people voluntarily entered into for life to the exclusion of all others. So I'm now going to ask each of you to declare that you know of no lawful reason why you may not be joined in matrimony to each other. And this is the first of the legal declarations that you're going to be making today. So you're going to repeat after me, nice and loudly, so that your guests and your witnesses can hear. And David, if I could ask you to go first. I do solemnly declare.
I do solemnly declare.
That I know not.
That I know not.
Of any lawful impediment.
Of any lawful impediment.
Why I, David.
Why I, David.
May not be joined.
May not be joined.
In matrimony.
In matrimony.
To Lakshmi.
To Lakshmi.
Thank you very much. And Lakshmi, you are now going to make a similar declaration. So, I do solemnly declare.
I do solemnly declare
that I know not.
that I know not
Of any lawful impediment.
of any lawful impediment
Why I, Lakshmi.
why I, Lakshmi,
May not be joined.
may not be joined
In matrimony.
in matrimony
To David.
to David.
Wonderful. Well, now that we know that you're free to marry each other, if you do want to stand a bit closer, that would be absolutely fine. Marriage is a personal, intimate decision but a large part of its importance comes from its recognition by those who are close to the couple. And it's lovely to see so many of you here today. So I ask you now, in the presence of this company, David, do you take Lakshmi to be your wife? Do you promise to comfort her in life's sorrow and pain, to rejoice with her through good times, and to remain true to her for the rest of your lives together?
I do.
And Lakshmi, do you take David to be your husband? Do you promise to comfort him in life's sorrow and pain, to rejoice with him through good times, and to remain true to him for the rest of your lives together?
I do.
Wonderful. I now have some further questions for you. Will you, Lakshmi, make an effort to keep yourself hydrated and promise never to refuse water when David offers it?
I will.
Will you, David, remember to wear sunscreen every day and promise never to refuse sunscreen when Lakshmi offers it?
I will.
Do you, Lakshmi, promise to try to remain awake in the evenings until the conclusion of whichever episode, film, or other form of visual media you have agreed to watch?
I do.
Do you, David, promise to come to bed and snuggle no later than 2 a.m. every night, unless you have an exceptionally good reason not to?
I do.
Do you, Lakshmi, always vow to laugh at David's jokes, no matter how many times he recycles them, repeating them over and over, again and again, for the rest of your life?
I do.
Do you, David, vow always to listen attentively to Lakshmi's anecdotes, knowing that they will be recounted in excruciating detail and that she will take forever to just get to the point?
I will.
And I will be following up to check. Now, after that, I would like to invite Sapna to come and read for us.
On behalf of Lada Haridas, Lakshmi's mom, what is real? Asked the rabbit one day when they were lying side by side near the nursery fender before Nana came to the room to tidy the room. Does it mean having things that buzz inside you and a stick-out handle? Real isn't how you are made, said the skin horse. It's a thing that happens to you when a child loves you for a long, long time, not just to play with, but really loves you, then you become real. Does it hurt? Asked the rabbit. Sometimes, said the skin horse, for he was always truthful. When you are real, you don't mind being hurt. Does it happen all at once, like being wound up? He asked, or bit by bit. It doesn't happen all at once, said the skin horse. You become. It takes a long time. That's why it doesn't happen often to people who break easily or have sharp edges or have to be carefully kept. Generally, by the time you're real, most of your hair has been lopped off, your eyes drop out, and you get loose in the joints and are very shabby. But these things don't matter at all, because once you are real, you can't be ugly, except to people who don't understand. And that's what happened to Lakshmi and David. Thank you.
That does hurt.
Thank you so much. I have to now follow that. But I'm following it with one of the most important parts of this ceremony today, because the moment has now come for this lovely couple to make their marriage contract with each other. And what that means is that as you say this next set of words, you will be becoming husband and wife. And you're going to repeat them after me again. And although it's a legal formulation, it contains a really nice promise. So say the words to each other. And if you want to hold hands while you're saying them, that would be lovely. So David, if you could repeat after me. I call upon these persons here present to witness that I, David, do take thee, Lakshmi, to be my lawful wedded wife, to love and to cherish, for the rest of our lives together. Wonderful. And Lakshmi, now it's your turn. I call upon these persons here present to witness that I, Lakshmi, do take thee, David, to be my lawful wedded husband, to love and to cherish, for the rest of our lives together. Perfect. Well, we've now come to the exchange of rings. A wedding ring is traditionally given to seal the contract that you've just made. It's an outward sign of the lifelong promises that you've given to each other. Each ring is an unbroken circle, symbolising unending and everlasting love. So, who has the rings? And Jonny, I think you're going to bring them up for us.
Figure it out.
Well done, Jonny.
There's a box with a box.
So if you'd like to come up with the ring, first of all, that David is going to give to Lakshmi, if you just hold the box out.
Let me space them out a little bit.
Yeah.
Hope
Okay.
you guys know what it is.
So, David, if you would like to take the ring that you're going to give to Lakshmi. And Jonny, if you'd like to sit down for a second, and I'll get you back in a minute. So, if you would like to take Lakshmi's hand and pop the ring on the tip of her finger and repeat after me. Lakshmi, I give you this ring as a symbol of my love. All of my heart I give to you. All that is mine I share with you. And if you'd like to put that ring on. And now, Jonny, if you could bring up the ring that Lakshmi is going to give to David, please. Perfect, thank you very much. And Lakshmi, if you would like to take David's hand and pop the ring on the tip of his finger and repeat again after me. David, I give you this ring.
David, I give you this ring
as a symbol of my love. All of my heart I give to you. All that is mine I share with you. And if you'd like to put that ring on. And now, David would like to present Lakshmi with a necklace. So if you'd like to bring that up. David and Lakshmi, you have both made the declarations required by law. And you've made solemn and not so solemn promises to each other in the presence of your family and friends who've joined you here today. This day is the start of a new life for you together. We all here hope that the feelings of love that you so very, very clearly have for each other will deepen and grow ever stronger throughout the years to come. On behalf of the City of Westminster, Naomi, and myself, it gives me the greatest of pleasure to declare that you are now husband and wife. Congratulations. I've never heard such applause. You did really brilliantly. Now, even the nicest things in life have paperwork associated with them, but Naomi has got some lovely paperwork for you today because she's got your marriage schedule. So I'm going to hand over to you to make sure everything gets signed in the right place. Now, I said to you about half an hour ago that Naomi and I would make sure that by the time we leave you, you were legally and properly married, and we've done that. So we've discharged our responsibility to you, and we're now handing responsibility over to all of you, because it is your job to make sure that this lovely couple have a wonderful, wonderful wedding day, and I am sure you are going to do that, and I'm sure that you will also support them in their married life together. It has been an absolute pleasure to marry you today, and we would like to wish you all the very, very best for a long and happy future together.
Thank you so much.
And now, would you join me in congratulating them with a huge round of applause as David and Lakshmi make their first walk together as a married couple. Congratulations.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hate using microphones, but I'm told it's necessary for the recording, so I'll hold it out of the way and hope that I can ignore it. After 38 years of teaching, I've never yet been in a situation where my unaided voice could not make itself heard, I assure you. I was a language teacher.
What do you say?
David and Jonny obviously were linguists, and we've always had interesting discussions about language. Yesterday we were trying to remember the longest word in the English language. When I was young, the longest word was anti-disestablishmentarianism, and David assures me that's been surpassed by
Pneumono ultramicroscopic silica volcano coniosis.
However, one thing hasn't changed. The longest word may have changed, but marriage remains the longest sentence. So David and Lakshmi had a wedding in an absolutely gorgeous venue, but didn't have the traditional religious ceremony where the bride walks up the aisle and they stand in front of the altar and then normally start off by singing a hymn. And I remember my mother saying that a bride would always keep those three things in mind as she came to a wedding: aisle, altar, hymn. But, now, David's working in IT now. I sparked his interest in computers at the age of 3 when I got them both on a computer game. I think they were just about 3 years of age. This was in the days of MS-DOS, well before Windows, but they started early with computers, and it was much easier than minding children yourself. Get computers to do it. They came to the school where I taught, and they managed to avoid completely being in my class ever, except for just one occasion when my colleague was off and I had to cover the lesson. So now, for the second time in his life ever, David has to listen without interrupting. David had keen intelligence right from the word go. He would take a keen interest in things like, how does an atom bomb work? Or what would happen to that wall if you shone a really strong laser at it? Usually at about 2 minutes to 10, when it was well past bedtime, and he could always inveigle me into indulging in some long explanation of what would happen. And I realised he'd passed this technique on when one of my Year 7 students came to the start of a lesson and said, "Sir, how does an atom bomb work?" Well, it's one way to avoid learning. Now, when I met my wife Martine, I was living in Liverpool in the northwest of England, and she was in Norwich, which is in the extreme east of England. So we thought in our marriage we were joining east and west. Of course, David's had to go one better. But we're really delighted for David and Lakshmi stepping in to this new phase of life. Marriage is an honourable institution, and I've always had this secret thought about David that he really should be in an institution. Behind every successful man is a good woman and an amazed mother-in-law, usually. Now, before I finish my speech, I will say a little bit about Lakshmi in a minute. But first of all, I must thank Lata and Harry for the way they looked after us and accommodated us in the engagement ceremony in Kerala in March. So I just want to say a heartfelt thank you to them. And they have produced a beautiful daughter who is gifted, hardworking, and incredibly successful. Lakshmi is an amazing woman. And I'm going to close with some words actually from the Bible, from the book of Proverbs, which talk about a good wife. It says, "A wife of noble character, who can find? She is worth far more than rubies. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She gets up while it's still night." I think Laxi is an early riser. "She provides food for her family. She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her tasks. She sees that her trading is profitable. And her lamp does not go out at night. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet." Now, that's a good wife in biblical times. And I just want to assure David that if he finds in Lakshmi a wife like this, I'll be round to his house and give him a kick up the backside and tell him to stop leaving it all to her. Thank you for listening. You're a much more appreciative audience than my family. I'm going to retrieve my glass and ask you all to raise your glasses to the bride and groom. To the bride and groom.
Thank you, previous speaker. For your kind words. No, seriously, thanks, Dad, for that very shouty speech. Truly...
I left out all the bad bits.
No, you can stop now. And it was truly unique and memorable. Rest of you, hello everyone. How's dessert? I thought so too. I thought it was banging, as Lakshmi likes to say. She's taken on a lot of these anglicized kind of ways of saying things. In fact, how do you say bottle of water in the most British way?
Bottle of water.
Not bad. She's becoming a true Cockney. My notes here say, remove shoes, tradition, South India. I don't know, I guess we'll find out what this is all about. So who knows what that's all about. I had a whole bit, and I had a whole bit that I was going to do here, and I've also had a bit of wine. So I think I'll just skip over that. Today I became a son-in-law. I've never been a son-in-law before, and I'm so happy to be part of this new family. My family's getting doubled in size almost overnight, and it's so great to be part of this new family. Auntie and uncle, as I'm told, is the way I'm supposed to address them. They visited us in London last year for the first time. We had a great time getting to know them. And meeting your in-laws for the first time can be a little bit like nerve-wracking. You're like, is this going to go okay? Am I going to make a good impression? And honestly, they just made me feel so welcome straight away. I was able to be my weird, goofy self, which is amazing that they kind of were okay with that. And so I just want to say, thank you for letting me into your family and trusting me with your daughter. And I had a few words. I don't know how this is going to go, but I wanted to say, Ningaluda marimon ayata ena ningaluda kurambateleko swigale chatnam ega magaluda batavine swandam maganai karudiyedinam nani. I think I'm missing a card. This is all being caught on video, right? Just in case. It's really nice having your shoes off because you just feel so free. I have never been a son-in-law before, but I have been a son. I've got quite a lot of experience of being a son to some awesome parents who are over there. You met one of them already. And and now I've got two sets of parents. It's really cool. I've got parents-in-law and original parents, and it's not a case of whose parents is better. It's not. But if it was, I think that basically we were in Hollywood earlier this year, and we did have a stop off. And pull some strings. And I would like to invite Martine and Chris Wildman up here to receive the Oscar for Best Parents. Get up here and receive your Oscar.
Speech within the speech. Speechception.
No speech, okay. That's all. That bit is done now. I also became a husband today. Lakshmi always likes to say she looks like her dad in a wig, which it's just incredibly disturbing. If I wake up tomorrow morning and I feel my way across that tender, soft skin into that wig, into that hair, and find that it's a bald, aging man underneath, I will be. That would just. I mean, it would be hilarious, wouldn't it? Let's be honest. So that's super fun. Lakshmi became my wife today, but you continue to be all of the things that you've become to me over these past 3 years. A fiercely loyal partner, a superwoman, especially in a crisis. My sleeping beauty, especially after about 9:30 p.m. 8:30 p.m. My sometimes surly, never burly, but always curly-whirly girly. And just generally the best thing I've ever found on the internet. When I was reflecting on our time together while writing the speech, I was struck by a memory of something Lakshmi said to me quite early on, which was, she said to me, being with me is like, she feels like she is a kite and I'm her anchor, and she feels that she can go and brave the world and brave the skies because she knows that she has me there for her, which I thought was really beautiful. And that's something that I thought was a really nice way of imagining our relationship, especially as we build a future together. My hope for the two of us is that we both can feel that way, that we both have each other's backs. We can be each other's anchor. When we're soaring the skies in the pursuit of our goals, building our future together, we always have someone to hold us tight, keep us on track, and catch us when we fall back down to earth and launch us off into the skies again. So thank you for being my anchor and my kite. And happy 0th wedding anniversary as well. There's no thing for 0, so I don't have to get you anything. Moving on with the thank yous, I've got to wrap this bit up. Thank you, Jonny, for you've run around and done all sorts for us. Not just in the past 48 hours, you and Dad have basically been on call, sorting out loads of things. So thank you so much for that. And also, you learned to play the organ and learned to play Star Wars on the organ. That was fucking cool. And also, he helped me get in shape. We've been going out and doing runs. Started with walks. Moved on to jogs, runs, and then we started doing 10Ks, which is quite impressive. But yeah, that's been you've been, yeah. Give it up. And to my groomsmen, or as I like to call them, my grooming gang. So there's something off about that. I can't quite figure out what it is. Head up by the head groomer, Spencer. I can't quite figure out what it is. Grooming gang. You all look very dapper, by the way. And Jonathan, Joel, thank you for being my ushers and keeping today running smoothly. Hugh, Andrew, Spence, Jonny, thank you for all of your help keeping today running smoothly. Bridesmaids, you also look incredible. I would say you're the most stunningly dressed people in the room, but Lakshmi's right there and she outshines you all, so... I've lost my place. I've been learning. Yeah. Linda put together a load of awesome props for a photo booth, which we haven't had a chance to play around with yet because of the rain, but hopefully after these fucking speeches are wrapped up, then we can get out there and play with them. That'll be good. Oh, I've lost my space. And Dad has basically been a taxi and errands service last few days. You've been super helpful as well. I'm out of cards. I feel like I had something else to say, but I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for listening to me, and enjoy the rest of the day.
If you see me pacing around or moving from side to side at all during the speech, that's just what's called a self-soothing mechanism, which I learned about that I don't know about everyone else's YouTube, but mine has been recommending me these videos of cops interrogating murder suspects. And there's always a guy analysing the video and he's like, oh, he's shaking his hand in a repetitive fashion. That's a self-soothing mechanism. He's guilty! So, if you see me pacing from side to side, all I'm really trying to say is don't read too much into it. Just because I'm, moving around a bit, I haven't killed anybody. So everything's fine. Where was I? My name's Jonny. I'm David's twin brother, and I promise this won't take very long. Sorry, I got a bit ahead of myself there. I was meant to start with an icebreaker. So I'm gonna start with a classic icebreaker, which is what's known as 2 truths and a lie. So it's very simple. It's 2 truths, and then in no particular order. It's 2 truths and a lie. So that's 2 things that are true, and then in no particular order, a barefaced lie. So I don't see what's so funny, but my name's Jonny. I'm David's twin brother, and I promise this won't take very long. It's a bit long, this. I'll try it. That's just the icebreaker. There's a whole bit here about icebreakers. I actually did always wonder growing up why they called it an icebreaker rather than an ice melter. Because, you know, you start with a big chunk of ice, like a glacier or an iceberg. Broken ice is still just ice, just with extra surface area. And that's still cold. You know, melted ice, that's just water. That's harmless. No one likes being cold, but everyone likes jumping in puddles, right? I mean, this was just how I was thinking as a kid. So, I mean, what was I to know? It wasn't actually until the heat wave last year when I was Can you stop laughing? I'm trying to get through this. I was staying with David and Lakshmi. They very kindly put me up for a whole month in August last year. This bit's earnest, actually. It was, and where I spent time looking for a flat and driving them absolutely crazy. And drinking copious amounts of iced tea because, as I say, there was a heat wave. So that was the relevant bit there. So the thing is, yeah. So what I realised during that time was that ice cubes are cool. You know, they're very cool. You can put a bottle of champagne in them. That looks really awesome. They cool you down as well. You can stick them in your drink. So that's all good. But no one likes icebergs, do they? No one likes icebergs. Bit of a health and safety hazard. They're just big chunks of ice. But everyone likes ice cubes until they melt, right? Because then you've just got a diluted cocktail or a bottle of lukewarm champagne with the label peeling off. So that's how I sort of came to terms with this turn of phrase. Incidentally, a bit tangential, but no one likes melting glaciers either, which is what causes the icebergs in the first place, consequence of global warming. So I guess that's, in conclusion, why they call it an icebreaker and not an ice melter. Everyone wants to be cool, like an ice cube. No one wants to start a speech about something interesting and end up with a lecture on climate change. But while we're on the topic, I will say this. If it hadn't been for climate change, I wouldn't have been hitting the iced tea so hard, and I wouldn't have kind of had my light bulb moment about why this particular turn of phrase is okay. So I think in conclusion, we can say that the icebreaker is well and truly out of the way. So now it's time for the speech bit. Speaking of speeches, let me talk a little bit about the last time that David and I did a speech at a family gathering, which was actually my dad's 60th birthday party. I'll always remember it. I did a speech, David did one too, and it was a lot better than mine, and as much as I hate to admit it, a lot funnier. I did relay this thought to David after the fact, and I'll never forget what he said to me. It really stuck with me. He was a salesman at the time, and I was in content creation, and he observed that, well, you make a living from writing, I make a living from talking to people, and it shows. It shows. So, with that in mind, you might be surprised to learn that me doing this, was David's idea. You'd probably be less surprised to learn that he actually offered to write it for me. And probably sad that I didn't take him up on the offer. So why did I turn him down? Well, lots of reasons, but one of the main ones is that David has since had a career change, and he's now a software developer. Now, I don't claim to be any sort of expert in software development, but you know, just generally speaking, I think my general impression is that software developers do not talk to people for a living. And it shows. It shows. It says pause for laughter here. I don't remember writing that. Did you write that? No, actually, no, sorry. I did write that. Okay. Page 2 of this essay. We're locked in now, I'm afraid. David and I go back long way, you know. I still remember when we first met, actually. We met when we were womb mates in Liverpool. Sorry, Mum, there's a bit more. It was a humble abode, a little cosy, you could say, but it was all we needed at the time. We were new to the area, still settling in. We actually only stayed there for the best part of a year, but I don't think it would be an exaggeration to say that we both look back on that period as a very formative time in our lives. Sorry, I'm really trying to concentrate here. You'll stop laughing. Before long, we'd obviously decided we'd outgrown that place a bit, so, you know, we wanted to get out there, be a bit more independent. You know, we both decided this. Stand on our own 2 fetus. So we popped out to chat with the landlord one day, and turned out she was about to kick us out anyway. So, you know, these things have a way of working themselves out, don't they? It's just as well, really, isn't it? Oh, actually, no, I'm still on this page. I don't know why I was putting that down. I'm obviously being completely dishonest here. I don't actually remember any of that. So in a weird way, I actually have no idea how long I've known David for. So I looked into it, and according to an article on psychologytoday.com, in a study on several pairs of twins in a nursery, which was looking at when they developed an awareness of themselves and then developed an awareness of other people and specifically each other, they found in one case, Bert first noticed Bill at age 7 months when he smiled at his brother, although Bill did not respond. So it can vary, you know, developmental rates, but I guess, you know, as a ballpark figure, I've probably known David since around age 7 months, so roughly 33 years. Basically, my whole life. David and I go back a long way, haha, we've known each other our whole lives. That was the original draft, and then it just sort of spiraled from there. But back to Bert and Bill for a second. Bill, one absolute savage. With one facial expression, or lack thereof, he invalidates his brother's entire existence and sends him into an existential quandary. Makes a fateful decision to smile at his brother, aged 7 months. And within seconds, he's questioning everything. If I acknowledged him, but he didn't acknowledge me, does that mean he exists and I don't? The psychologists who wrote this study don't go too deeply into this, but speaking as a twin, I can assure you that this unreciprocated smile was the first of many facial expressions, tones of voice, turns of phrase, and so on, that served as a catalyst for many an argument between Bert and Bill in the years to come. Oh, I wish I had a twin. It would be so nice. You get a lot of people saying that growing up as a twin, actually. It would be lovely having a twin, guaranteed best friend. And it is, lots of the time, most of the time. It really is. But they don't always smile back, do they? So that's when things start to get a little hairy, you know? It's like, I feel when you didn't smile back on that particular occasion, it kind of invalidated my entire existence and the unspoken bond for life that I thought we shared as former womb mates. Sort of challenged my whole worldview on a very fundamental level. But of course, you try to open up about that kind of thing, and you always get some convoluted excuse like, well, excuse me for not having the cognitive sophistication yet required to register your existence. So yes, twins, absolutely, friends for life. But there can also be a fair amount of needlessly neurotic arguments prompted by reading too much into things that the other person does, says, doesn't do, doesn't say, etc. But I'm sure marriage should be a nice break from that kind of thing. I'm doing a lot of teasing here, obviously. Maybe I'm going a bit too far, but I know David will have the last laugh. Because Lakshmi is one of the wittiest people I think I've ever met. I'll get serious for a second. David was at... I know I said that, but... David was at a bit of a crossroads a few years ago, just before meeting Lakshmi. A double crossroads, really, financially and personally. He was between careers, so kind of unsure of how he would fare in the future on a financial level. And he was also single, and wondering when he would find happiness in life. So we were all overjoyed for him, really, when suddenly both of these aspects of his life... I don't know what you think I'm about to say, but... suddenly took a turn for the better. It was, I believe, towards the end of 2020 when he simultaneously retrained as a software engineer while starting to date the woman, that's the wine, not a Freudian slip. He would eventually go on to marry. Some people were understandably jealous when he found happiness and financial freedom at the same time. But I, for one, was genuinely excited and happy for him when he announced that he'd met a lovely girl who worked in banking and that his new job allowed him to sit at home on the computer all day. So, sorry, that was gratuitous. I know, I probably shouldn't have gone there, but it's done now. I do jest, of course. I really, genuinely do believe that David struck gold when he met Lakshmi. I'm on to the final chapter now. I'll be the first to admit that I'm not very good at writing coherent speeches which don't meander around all over the place and don't go down all sorts of tangential rabbit holes. Actually, that's a lie. David was the first to admit that I'm not very good at writing coherent speeches. I was still in denial at the time. But we've been over that, and far be it from me to bring that back up again. So one thing, though, that I like to think I'm okay at writing is poetry. God, did I write? Yeah, I guess I wrote this. I've been translating poetry on and off for the last 4 years and kind of enjoyed it quite a lot. It's quite creative. Although it always kind of bugs me that because I'm doing it as a translator, all the most beautiful and profound things I feel I've ever written are just taking somebody else's ideas and putting them into different words. To give you an example, I wrote this line recently in what I was working on: as seed yearns for soil and trees for the sun, a once foreign melody inside my heart sung, and it cried out your name on every string it could strum. I think that's quite nice. It's not perfect, but it's reasonably romantic. It got the idea across. Meanwhile, I get onto dating apps and suddenly words fail me. It's like, hi, how are you? Good, thanks. Tired. Got much planned for the weekend? Cool. Cool. So I thought that today I would try my hand at actually writing some original poetry for once, in my personal life rather than in my professional life as a translator. And I'm sorry, but I had to edit this poem really last minute after getting a second opinion from a more level-headed wedding guest than myself, who thought that maybe it was a little too vulgar. I thought it was quite expressive, really, but they were adamant that I should at least tone down the swearing. So that meant that I did have to make a couple of tweaks per line, but importantly, not in a way that affected the rhyme scheme. So hopefully you can still sort of figure out what I was originally trying to kind of go for. The poem is called An Exquisite Poem for a Clucking Awesome Couple. So right off the bat, you can see why some of these things had to change. The original title was actually An Explicit Poem for a Clucking Awesome Couple. So had to change a few things there. So here, this is the last bit, I promise. Okay, so. I probably shouldn't say this up here at the front, so apologies in advance for this crude little stunt. But you both look fantastic, and not to be blunt, but I'm sure your firstborn will be a good-looking little runt. One night in bed, a lonesome David played with his phone. And as he swiped, his mind strayed. He sighed. It's been a while since I last got paid, and I could afford to go out on a date. He'd abandoned the lucrative career in sales, which until then had funded his pursuit of females, all to get in on the web development trend and become intimately acquainted with the front and back end. By a stroke... Sorry. There's only a little bit more, don't we? By a stroke of algorithmic luck, he matched with the one girl who was down to cook for him every night, that they'd meet, kiss, and suck bubble tea through a straw from one of those hermetically sealed cups. On their first date, they played Xbox, but they played like noobs, mostly because he couldn't take his eyes off her YouTubes. She would have complained, but she gave him a pass on account of how much she admired his muscle mass. It was one of many physical features she came to adore. She appreciated his cheeks more than any woman before, although most counted 2, well, she counted 4. You went to the park and you fed those ducks. You fancy-dressed as 2 arrested development schmucks, explored all of London's crannies and nooks, and of course, shared many kisses, cuddles, and such. Bonding through a shared love of Chinese food, this Indian gal and that British dude were hopelessly smitten and mutually wooed, despite having seen each other in a bad mood. See what I did there? Yeah. I say bad mood, I just didn't want to be rude, but nor do I want to be seen as a prude. It's 2023. I mean, of course, they've both viewed each other's private photos of the weirdest things they've seen on the tube. An inseparable pair, like Morty and Rick. They stuck together through thin and through thick, until finally he decided it was high time to stick a ring on her finger, then whip out his pick and strum through some songs that he'd previously played to see which would work as a wedding serenade. There we go. Sorry, I'm finally done now.
So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Spencer. I'm the head of the grooming gang, currently at large in Greenwich. Also, David has referred to us as, anything goes on your wedding day. So, let's just start off with just thinking back. I mean, a lot of us, we're similar ages. People who know David, obviously, people who are friends with David. Well, we're kind of in our 30s, aren't we? We're early 30s, mid 30s, just like that age, right? And for whatever reason it is, don't know why, the peak season for marriages. I mean, what's going on? There's marriages all the time. I think I've been on 3 last year. The things that you kind of talk about when you go to marriages, like, what dress did the bride wear? Was it a sit-down dinner or buffet? The volumes of free booze available, obviously it's been flowing today. Who was removed and blacklisted for, gross indecency? I mean, simple things like that happen all the time. And of course, the quality of the speeches, no doubt it's been high quality so far. I'm kind of resting on me to continue the tradition. And, they're rarely mentioned if they're good, but obviously the focal point of any conversation, any wedding-based commentary, if in the slightest bit long, tedious, unfunny, or embarrassing. It's one of those risks you have to take. So, acutely aware that my performance here could flavour closed-door conversations about me for years to come, I hereby promise you that I will deliver a speech that will make you laugh, make you cry, and might even change your life. At least that's what I typed into ChatGPT. And all fit within a time frame of about 8 minutes. So, just be aware of that too. And for those of you who aren't aware, ChatGPT is an online platform that uses AI to generate responses to pretty much any prompt or question you can think of. So, for example, if you wanted a 5-day itinerary for a trip to Pyongyang, it's pretty much got you covered. It'll give you all the best spots, all the fake malls you can go to, all the, that kind of thing. So I'm not being serious, of course, about copying and pasting the speech from ChatGPT. My love and respect for both David and Lakshmi is far too great, and I regard this speech-giving duty as best man with far too much importance to ever try that on. However, in my weaker moments, it had crossed my mind, and I was curious to experiment a little bit. So my prompts were anything out of the ordinary, including things like funny toast to newlyweds, witty and heartfelt speech. I hope I hit those nails on the head. And hilarious speech. As you might imagine, the results were a mixed bag with many jokes involving pizza for some reason. However, at the risk of completely misjudging this audience, I know what you like now. You've heard these speeches and you like them. So obviously I'm not misjudging this audience. But I've got this slightly crude pearl of wisdom to relay back to you, and it is, love is like a fart. If you have to force it, it's probably just shit. And I think there's a lot of, poetic stuff in that. I was kind of hoping to slip that seamlessly in somewhere, and you'd be asking yourself, so Spencer, how do you get so witty? And I would just say, I'm just born with it. But I have to put that one to ChatGPT. It's just one of those things. Anyway, moving swiftly on, I want you to cast your minds back to those heady days of 2018. It was in this year that I actually met David, or Davo to his friends. David was working for a company called the Legal 500 at the time. And it was an online media business which ranks law firms in a manner that's kind of similar to the Fortune 500. I worked in the business development for a Chinese law firm, and David was tasked with selling us a co-branded legal conference. So my first introduction to David was seeing his name CC'd in an email. David Wildman. I thought, strong name. I thought to myself, and it created this mental image of a grizzled Viking. But it turned out that I was the one pillaging him, as I managed to knock off a couple of zeros from the product price and get some banner ads thrown in gratis on the Legal 500 website. My first introduction... I'm repeating the same part. That's reading for you. The day of the conference swiftly arrived, with David and his Legal 500 colleagues flying to Shanghai to report on the day's events. I met with him and his colleagues the night before the conference, sharing dumplings and baijiu. And baijiu is kind of a rice wine, very strong. Get it 50 pence. People are addicted to it over there. Even though his blue-shirted entourage constantly bickered in vain for my attention, I only had eyes for one man. Charming, witty, supportive, he had it all. I immediately warmed to him, something which I think many of you can appreciate. Suitably dazzled by his sheer animal magnetism, I seized the opportunity to invite him to an event organised by the Canadian Chambers of Commerce in Shanghai, a German food and beer night at Paul Anna. It was there where our friendship grew as we teamed up and navigated the room, trying to engage Shanghai's medium-sized business owners in an urbane conversation, thinking ourselves quite the city slickers at the time. He put a beer on his expense account, citing entertaining a client, and I at the time thought, this is probably the best thing that's ever happened to me. An invitation to his hotel room was forthcoming. I'm a charming man. At the end of the night's festivities, and I duly accepted. It was certainly a night to remember. But before I get booted out, I just want to clarify that David invited me to take the second of his 2 very large double beds in his presidential suite. So no hanky-panky is what I want to say. In the blink of an eye, his time in Shanghai was up. Goodbye, such sweet sorrow. And to ease my pain, he introduced me to his sometimes slightly dishevelled human counterpart, Jonny. as a placeholder friend until we could be together once more. I'm joking, of course. David left, but what followed is an incredible year hanging out with Jonny in dingy Chinese malls, drinking beers in jazz clubs by the Bund, and watching movies using the projector on his rooftop. And I consider him an equally dear friend of mine, who had a large part in making my time in Shanghai an incredible experience, particularly important since this gargantuan city of about, I think, 15 million people. It's hard to tell. Has the habit of making you very lonely and small sometimes. It's like being in Blade Runner all the time. You can't escape it, really. I returned to the UK in early 2019, and we both continued to make the effort to meet up where we could, usually in London, finding a cafe or pub, just chatting for the entire day, sharing the good times and giving words of support and encouragement during the bad. Some years passed, and out of the blue, a new noun had entered his regular speech patterns. Lakshmi. Didn't know what it meant at the time, to be honest with you. He said it a lot, and when uttered, he seemed to beam rays of affection. Who was this mysterious Lakshmi who stole my sweet David's heart, I wondered. Who knew that my fairly recent trip to Kerala State in India would prove to be a piece of the puzzle? On one particular day, upon David realising that I both knew the name of the capital city of Kerala, Trivandrum, which is more simple of the two, not going to say the other one, as well as the name of the local language, which I asked Trish to correct me before I did the speech, just to make sure I was sure to say Malayalam, Malayalam. No. Trish, can you say it for me?
Malayalam.
Yeah, okay. He excitedly grabbed his phone and thrust it towards my face, demanding that I recite these two factoids into the microphone, which he immediately sent in the form of a voice note to Lakshmi? to Lakshmi, accompanied with an excitable sign-off. Check this out. Now that I knew her name and where she was likely from, all other gaps in my knowledge were filled over time, particularly when Lakshmi agreed to accompany Caleb and I on our trademarked magical mystery pub tour, which I do all over London. It's great. It's like you go through all the oldest pubs of London, takes you through Fleet Street. You should come sometime. The only way, and it's really the only way an Englishman can kind of get to know somebody. So, it's very fitting that you came on it and we got to know each other and we spent some really good time just chatting and whatnot. Yeah, it was a really good day. So on that, that tour and since, we got to know Lakshmi, and she's fun-loving, creative, incredibly intelligent and thoughtful. The compatibilities are obvious between you and David. And I soon knew that she was the right one for him and vice versa. Together, they've been a tour de force on the London social scene, organising incredible parties, Christmas, the Indian festival Onam, and Halloween, to name but a few. I'm absolutely delighted at their union, and I wish them the best that life can offer, because you cannot find a more genuine, honest, and exciting people. Please put your glasses in the air and raise a toast to David and Lakshmi. Cheers. And that's it from me.
All right. I made a note to myself when I was sitting there, skip the icebreakers, the poems and the fart jokes. So I'm Raj, I'm jet-lagged, and I'm Lakshmi's friend from college in Singapore, also her gay best friend. So I don't know how much of this she remembers, but Lakshmi and I met 14 years ago at Chennai airport. So we left to Singapore as 17-year-olds on the same flight. So it started there with 30 other kids bonding over Harry Potter because we didn't know anything else about culture or everything else. It started there, and over the next 4 years, I think the thing that brought us close to the most is our passion for dancing, competitive dancing, and everything else. And from then on to now, we've maintained our status as the unofficial ambassadors of anything South Indian to all our North Indian friends. So Lakshmi is one of the most outgoing people I know. I think most people here would agree. Someone you can trust to take with you to a party filled with strangers, and then you would leave with 10 new friends, and you would have to drag her away from those people because they all want her more than you. So, she was the first one to leave our nest in Singapore. All of us were still there, but she left to Hong Kong the first, and then to London, and I don't think she's had any trouble finding people or family or friends anywhere she goes. I think when I finally came out to my friends, I needed a reliable buddy to act as a companion for me wherever I went, someone I know would have no trouble going to a party and making friends, and she became that person. And from board game night to becoming best friends with drag queens in Bangkok, so we've been through it all. And that also meant that we've turned into each other's confidants over the boy troubles and family troubles over the years. Many boy troubles, many family troubles. So, all of us have that one person we can depend on to just call and to be the ultimate hype person for you. Whatever you say, they will hype you up and say you're right. So you have it in the right. So that was Lakshmi. That was Lakshmi for me, and I think a lot of people who are here as well. I've seen her deal with a lot of challenges with her career, family, relationships, but that's just shaped her into this amazing person we all know. She's never hesitated to go after what she wants, and she continues to do so, and to make her deserving of a really kind and empathetic person like David. I know this is going in the opposite direction to the other speeches. I think I've had a kind of a first row seat to this relationship from afar, with the little time I've spent together and the loads of stories I've heard from David over the last 3 years, from Lakshmi over the last 3 years. I know how much they care about each other, how much they both make sure that they're there for each other, supporting each other. I know the amount of effort David put into his proposal. I was amazed because I thought I did a great proposal for my partner, and then this was a whole new level of effort. And I knew how much he took on the wedding planning stress away from Lakshmi when she was preparing for her exams. That's just one small example of how supportive they are to each other. And I'm sure each of us in this room can think of an example where David or Lakshmi have been there for them. And I know how amazing their life is going to be over the years. And knowing both of them, I think they're perfect for each other from what I know from both of their characteristics. So if you join me to raise your glasses to David and Lakshmi, wishing you all the joy and happiness in the world. Cool.
If you look to that side, there's a rainbow.
Yeah. Thanks, Raj, for bringing the pride with the rainbow as well. Well done. I didn't realize planning would go this far. I've just been informed that I'm going up last and I have the graveyard shift. But on the bright side, you probably have drunk much more now. So, first of all, good afternoon. And a quick introduction, since most of you in the room are meeting me for the first time. I'm not always the wife of the party, but today I definitely am. And today, for the first time, I'm Wildshmi Wildman. Thanks to my wonderful husband, David. Ever since we got engaged and became fiancé, I've been introducing him to people we meet as my ex-boyfriend. But he hasn't really been a fan of that, so I'll refrain from it for the rest of the speech. I'm a bit concerned as to how the speech is going to go because I haven't written an extended bit of prose in a long time and not had it proofread by David. So this is a first in several years. So anyway, I know it's unconventional for brides to give a speech on the day, but nothing really has been very traditional about our wedding or us. But I still decided to do this because I'm sure you have several burning questions, such as, who on earth is this woman? How did she meet David? How did they end up in a relationship? And how long is this going to take before I can take a bathroom break, etc.? So I'm afraid you'll have to hold on to the... I'll try and keep it as short as possible and as quick, but I'll get to the rest of it in a minute. I want to start by thanking you all for coming here and being a part of our special day. It means so much to both of us. And I've heard so much about people on David's side of the family. I'm finally getting to meet all of you, and it's been absolutely wonderful. Thank you for welcoming me into your family. And Most of my family and friends have traveled here from halfway across the planet, and I couldn't be more grateful. We have people here flying in from Singapore, Texas, Delhi, Hong Kong, and even all the way from East Ham. It is just so surreal to see all these different people and all these different groups of people who have meant so much to me at different points in my life, all under one roof and talking to each other and having a wonderful day on David and my special day. It's just absolutely amazing. So now, I'd like to start by, first of all, congratulating my parents, because despite your worst fears, your only daughter won't end up alone. Like most Indian parents, they have been dreaming of this day and working towards it for the last 32 years. And for some context, I'm 31. So I don't know if many of you know this, but arranged marriage is still very much the norm in India. And arranged marriage is not where you meet your husband on the day of the wedding, but rather your parents sort of shortlist a list of candidates and you make the final decision. And both parties eventually date, but with the intention of an eventual marriage. Mommy and Papa have been openly pestering me for the last decade. And they have tried every card in the book, including attempting to put my vital statistics up on some online matrimony website, some ad in the local newspaper, and even staging an extended family intervention. This is no surprise, as it's often considered the one singular duty of parents to get their children married, and especially a single girl child. So today, their decades-long struggle has finally come to an end. I'm proud to say that my years of rebellion against an arranged marriage and repeatedly disappointing them has finally paid off. Yeah. Take that, Mom and Dad. The reason is, I'm confident that there's no way in 100 years my parents could have found someone who's a better match for me. So, someone as caring, funny, intelligent, and hardworking as the man I'm married to now. So once again, I'm right. To quote my dad, David is the best thing to happen to you. I don't know about that because a good lamb biryani is pretty high up there, but, debate rages. Regardless, credit where credit is due, and I respect the perseverance. So I'd like to present them with an award. And don't worry, it's not the second best parents award. It is the Lifetime Achievement Award. So I'll keep this quick, but I can't speak about my parents and not mention the incredibly fortunate position I have been born into, which is having, for all practical reasons, 2 sets of parents. And before you panic as to where I'm going with all of this, I should clarify. So most of you, thanks to sorry, it's a technical glitch here, but thanks to how long was your speech again, Jonny?
I wasn't counting.
Thanks to all 20 minutes of it, you probably know that David and Jonny are twins, but so are my dad and my uncle, his brother Mohan, although they might not look like it or sound like it. My uncle and aunt are part of my earliest formative memories and have been there for me during some of the most difficult times in my life. I'm so incredibly lucky to have them in my lives, and it's no surprise that I've always referred to them not as Mohan Uncle and Vinu Auntie, but rather Mom Papa and Vinuma. The best thing they've done for me, without a doubt, is, of course, my dear little sister, Mayumi, who's been an absolute darling and helped me all throughout today. So thank you for the memories, and I hope to make many more with you. So, all these waterworks are sort of making the rest of the speech a bit difficult, and my makeup's probably already beginning to run down. But don't feel sorry for me. All my makeup is free samples from David, because one of the perks of dating David is that I get free makeup samples because he works at a skincare and makeup company. And people always say, whenever I tell them I get these free samples, they say, oh, you're so lucky. But they don't know about the fact that I had to first survive the time he worked at a healthcare company, producing blood test kits. In fact, literally 2 days after our first date, he asked me if I could prick my finger and draw a vial of blood for some silly customer survey. David's obviously no expert at keeping his personal and professional life separate. But if anyone tells you that a marriage takes blood, sweat, and tears, I want you to know that I've already contributed more than enough blood. And for the single people in the room, I was not going to recommend asking a date for a blood sample, but here we are, David and I, getting married, so who knows? By the way, I should also apologize for not heeding my parents' advice to never talk to strangers. For those of you who don't know, David and I met on Tinder, and now we're getting married, so you could say it's kind of getting serious. The curious case of David Wildman is that he has actually been getting fitter and more good-looking than I first saw him on this app. I really scored there. Anyway, I think you'd all agree when I say he looks stunning, and especially so in his velvet tuxedo. David's put in a lot of work, with Jonny's support, of course, training and exercising, losing even over 10 kilos in the lead up to this wedding. I'm so proud of him. I know he looks incredibly handsome, but I just want to reassure his family that I fell in love with this man for what's on the inside. The muscle definition, the immaculate bone structure, the chiseled jawline. But in all seriousness, David and I were very different people when we first met to what we are today. We are not perfect individually or together, and we have disagreements and tiffs like all couples. After all, a relationship is about solving problems together, problems you wouldn't have if you were single. But I'm so incredibly proud to say that the one striking quality in our relationship has been the commitment we made to each other long before today, to always turn towards each other rather than away, and one step at a time, one day at a time, continuously learn about each other and ourselves and communicate better. And with this commitment, David has supported and tended to me during times when I dealt with devastating grief or threw myself into preparing for grueling interviews or exams. And I have to thank David for that. Thank you. David and I have come a long way from when we first met, and I'm thankful for the journey we have had. and I'm excited about where we are headed together. The artist yesterday asked me, oh, when you first met David, did you know he was the one? And I said, of course not. And apparently most brides know at the very first meeting. I did not, and I still find it very difficult to pick one moment when I knew David was the one. But what I can say is the realization that David was the one is the culmination of 1,000 conversations we have had, laying in bed in the dark, walking through the streets of London, showing up for each other, trusting, revealing our most vulnerable selves and insecurities, talking about our hopes and dreams, and then eventually our shared hopes and dreams for a future together. Anyway, David, I'm so thankful that you stuck by me and loved me for who I am, despite what I look like, which is a massive red flag. On that note, I also want to congratulate David for getting a step closer to achieving his dream of finally getting a step closer to an Indian passport. And with it, all the perks of applying for visas to 136 nations across the globe. For those who don't know me, I'm an only child raised in a desert. I haven't really had that many people around me for most of my life. But in marrying David, I suddenly now have a big Wildman family. Yeah. I want to thank... Yes, and there's lots of keys. So, David's Malayalam was very moving, but thankfully my English is pretty good, so I'll do this in English. To David's family, I want to thank all of you for the part you played, however big or small, in helping us put together our big day and making me feel at home. So much so that I come from a country with colorful traditions and a rich history, but my favorite holiday now is a Wildman Christmas. And last but not the least, I'd like to thank me. I'd like to thank me for believing in me, for believing in us, for never quitting and being me.
Were there any more speeches? Oh, thank God. Okay, yeah, that's literally it. As you were.
my fingers. I'll feel it in my toes. Well, love is all around me, and so the feeling grows. It's written on the wind, it's everywhere I go. Oh, yes it is. So if you really love me, come on and let it show. Come on and let it show. As I lay on my bed, I get to thinking of all the things you said. Keep your promise to me this morning, Fitzrovia Chapel, and I get back to you. In everything I do, in everything I do. Thank you. You're so beautiful. Let's go to my house and we can I don't mind taking it slow. It's not so beautiful, like a dream. High class prostitute, high class. You're so beautiful. To be a part.